Hello friends, welcome to bispsolutions.com. My name is Sumit and I'm a VP CRM Solutions with BISP. In this video, I'm going to tell you a very interesting topic, that how can we connect Google Drive with Salesforce using File Connect option, which is available, which is an inbuilt option with Salesforce version, Salesforce developers option. So let's have a look how to do that. In order to connect with Google Drive, there are some prerequisites, and those prerequisites are: number one, you need to have a Google account, which I believe that most of you are using, or you have a Google account and you would be able to access your Google Drive. And second thing, you should have Salesforce developers account, because we by when file connects will be going to give certain permissions which only a developers or an administrator can give. So if you have administrative privileges on your subscription or on your license, or if you are using a developer's account, so that would be better. So let's begin the connectivity to build a connectivity between Google Drive and Salesforce using File Connect. So that's my Salesforce account, and the very first thing I will do is I will find out whether do I have Files Connect or not. So I simple write File Connect, and I can find out this File Connect under Customize Salesforce File Settings and Files Connect. So I click on Files Connect. So it helps to enable File Connect and customize it for on an organizational. Here you need to choose edit option, because we need to enable this option. By default this option is disabled, so we need to enable this option. So I click on edit, enable File Connect, and the file sharing option will be remain as reference, and click on save. Now the next step is to give permissions to the users, or to give the permissions to the File Connect cloud, those who will be going to use this File Connect. So we click search for permission sets. We search for permission sets, and you can find out permission sets under manage user section. So I check permission sets, and so we have some pre-existing permission sets. So here I'm going to create a new permission set. So click on new, and here I give name as files connect, and the user license will be, we are not going to set any user license, so we want to keep it available for all the users. Because if we set if we select the license, then this files connect would be applicable. This files connect permission set would be accessed by only that particular profile user. So I set this to none. So if you plan to assign this permission sets to multiple users with default users and permission set licenses, so I go with the default setting, that is none. Click on save. As soon as we saved it, the File Connect permission sets is created. Now I scroll down and check for system permissions. So system permissions is to perform actions that apply across applications such as modify all data and so on. So I click on system permissions, and in system permissions I scroll down and search for file connect cloud. So we have two, file connect cloud and file connect on premises. So first I edit this and look for file connect cloud. Check this option and we click on save now. So next step is to manage the assignments. So I click on manage assignments. There are no existing assignments. So I click on add assignments and I am assigning this to myself. It means I would be able to access files connect and all the permissions are given to me as well. You can select multiple users. You can allow multiple users to access that files connect feature. But right now I am the only user. So, and I want to give this only to me. I want only myself can access that files connect option. So I click on assign. So you can see the permission files connect has been assigned to one user. Next step is to create auth provider. So I type auth and this is available in administer service control and I click on auth provider. In auth provider, click on new. This is to authentication and the provider type. Now here make sure that you are not selecting Google. Don't select Google. Go for OpenID Connect. In OpenID Connect, first of all name. So I give name as Google Drive. Consumer key. I don't have any consumer key right now. So I simple pass consumer key as will be requiring consumer key, consumer secret, endpoint URL, token URL. So we don't have that right now. So I write test HTTPS test. This we will be going to customize later on and click on save. Click on save. If I scroll down, you can see one callback URL has been created and this callback URL we will be going to provide in our Google Drive. Now the next step is we will be going to switch Google Drive. So we'll be open Google Drive. So I click on Google Drive and then I use this URL console.developers.googles.com/project selector. So it will ask me to create a new project. So it is asking me to click settings for to display dashboard for existing organization, or we can create a new project. So we have an option for new project. In new project, first of all we give a name to this new project. And I give this project name as FCF for Google Drive. So that's the project name and click on create. And before moving on to next step, make sure that you have selected the correct project. So because we have
multiple projects. So that's the project we'll be working on right now, HCF for Google Drive. That's the ID for this. So I'll just make a note of it because we will be going to use it. So I'll just make a note of it. Next, we can switch to dashboard to enable APIs and services. So I click on enable API and services, and from this library we search for Google Drive API, or we search for Drive. So we'll be getting Google Drive API. So I select Google Drive API, and the next step is to enable it. So I click on enable. So there are two ways for, in Google Drive API, there are two ways for authorization. The first one is the auth permissions, and second one is the directly linking. So here we'll be connecting through auth permissions. Then we switch to credentials, and we are going to create credentials. So I click on create credential, and here I choose OAuth client ID. So I click on OAuth client ID and select web application. Before creating an auth ID, we must set a product name on the consent screen. So I click on configure consent screen. So this is the default email address of my Google Drive. I'm giving a product name, so I give product name as test drive, or we can say I can give name as files connect for Google Drive. Homepage URL, product logo URL, all these are optional, so I simply click on save. Now the application type section is enabled, so I choose web application, and in web application, so we can give client name, or we can go with the same name. So I'll go with the same name. So if you want, you can change the name. And there is one thing, it's asking for authorized redirect URL. So this is the URL which we would be giving. So here we need to give the callback URL. So I get back to Salesforce, I switch to Salesforce, copy this callback URL and paste this callback URL here. And don't forget to press enter, so that it would be getting ready for the next callback URL, that auth to callback URL. And then click on create. Click on create, and as soon as we create, it will generate client ID. It will generate the client ID and the client secret. So I click on OK. Now when I click web client, we have client ID and client secret. So I copy this client ID. I copy this client ID, edit this, and I will pass that client ID or as a consumer key, and consumer secret will be my client secret. So this consumer secret and client secret I pass here. Now the next, we would be requiring the authorized endpoint URL and token endpoint URL, user endpoint URL, token issuer. So this we can get from a link. So you can get the help from the file connect online, and you will be getting the authorization URL. So that's the authorization URL. So I copy paste this authorization into endpoint URL. We'll be requiring token endpoint URL. So this is my token endpoint URL. I will be requiring user info endpoint URL. So this will be my user info endpoint URL, and the token issuer I will not be giving token issuer, but the default scope. So this would be the default scope. Copy this default scope and paste. And finally, when I click on save, so this is the complete auth provider we have. Now the next step is to connect with the external data source. So I search for external data source within under develop. So click on external data source. So I click new external data source. We need to give name for external data source. So I give name as Google Drive. The type will be file connect Google Drive. Authentication, and the authentication provider will select from the list. So the Google Drive, that was the open ID we created. The status is pending, so we can validate this. So the status would be completed once we connect it, and make sure that the start authentication flow on save is ready. So I click on save. As soon as we click on save, our testing will be done with external data sources, just to validate whether we are onto right track or not. As soon as I saved it, I will get this window at this screen, and I'm going to connect with this Google account. Click on allow. And it will take me back to Salesforce, and you see I got a confirmation message authenticated. It means the authentication has been done successfully, and the auth providers, the connections which we are doing, it has been done successfully. One more thing I will be doing, I'm going to again get back to permission sets. So I open permission sets, open file connect. In file connect, I look for external data source access, click on edit, and this Google Drive I will move this from available external data sources to enable external data sources. Click on save. Now I wanted to check this. So the way to extract the data from Google Drive, or to connect Google Drive, is switch to plus sign. Here you will get files option. So click on files. It's a files connect. So click on files, and in this files, at the extreme left bottom, you will get a new option, external files, which is known as Google Drive, named as Google Drive. We click on Google Drive. So it is asking for confirmation. So click here to link your external accounts to Salesforce. So I click on this link. So again I select my Gmail account to whom Google Drive I would like to connect. Click on allow. And now when I again click on Google Drive, it will give me four options: my drive, shared with me, recent, and started. And when I click on my drive, I can see the files which have been uploaded, stored within my drive folder. So these are the files which exist in my drive. in on my Google Drive. So we have got files. Now we don't have a Google Drive option. So I want to have a Google Drive tab so that when we click on that Google Drive tab, the users, they can directly extract and upload the data into Google Drive. So let's see how can we add a Google Drive object onto this object bar. So for doing this, I click on setup and I give external data sources. So click on external data sources, click for Google Drive, and there's an option called validate and sync. So I click on validate and sync, and here I select this option, items Google Drive, and click on sync. You can see a new external object has been created named as items Google Drive, and the external data user authorization has been confirmed successfully. Then I search for external objects. So we have this items Google Drive. So I edit this, and this plural label, instead of this plural label, I just give a meaningful name. Let's say Google Drive. Rest of the things would be same, and click on save. Before saving, don't forget to switch to deployment don't forget to set the deployment status as deployed, and click on save. Now it's an object, and when we click on items Google Drive object, so we have proper API names, standard fields. So these are the custom fields. We have author, comment, creation date, download URL, MIME type, name, and page layout. So it is similar to the objects we used to create, but this is an external object, so it has got less features with respective to the Salesforce object we have. Mm. Now next we are going to give permission sets. We are going to give permissions to on this particular to files connect to this external object. So click on object settings, and in object settings you see there is no access to the fields, and also we can see Google Apps settings. So I click on, and I will directly switch to Google Drive. So let's search for Google Drive. So I click on Google Drive. There is no access on Google Drive. So I click on Google Drive, edit this, and I give enable this and give read access to all the fields. So these all are the fields are available in that Google Drive folder. Click on save. And now we are going to add a tab on this object bar. So I click on tab, click on tabs, new custom object tab, and the object will be items Google Drive. We choose a tab style. So I'll go with Cadis. Click on next. Click on next. and I will include in all the applications. So click on save, and as soon as we saved it, we will get one Google Drive object. So I click on Google Drive, and here I edit this to show all the fields. So I'll show author, creation date, download URL, and it would be visible to all users, and also any filter we want to give. So we can have filters like display URL or created by or creation date. So we can apply some filters. So here I set a filter criteria: name contains files connect, and save it. So it will list all the items which would be stored as a files connect, but right now we don't have any items. Again, we can go to files and upload some files, or we can drag and drop files to be uploaded on Google Drive. So we can click on Google Drive, my files, and we can see the files. So this is how we can connect Salesforce with. So I hope you found this video interesting, and this helps you a lot in setting up connectivity between Salesforce with Google Drive. If you have any queries, you can write to us on www.bispsolutions.com. You can visit our website for more detailed information about Salesforce. We are into consulting services as well, so you can look for that as well. Keep watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.